Hey everyone, welcome back to JarDev. Today I'm joined once again by two very special guests. We've got Chris.
Hello.
And Taylor.
Hey.
And in this video we're going over Taylor's top 5 games of 2019.
Alright, so before we start, I gotta throw in a trigger warning for Chris and John. Because I guarantee they're gonna get fucking triggered.
What the fuck?
Maple Story 2 is back!
No, then I would get triggered.
Return of Jotty.
Fuck Jotty.
What a bitch. Anyway, to start out this list, I'm actually gonna have to throw out an honorable mention because it's a game that I really wanted to make the list, but I can't justify it. And that game,
I know what it is.
No, that game is One Finger Death Punch 2.
Oh, okay.
I know what game you're thinking of,
wow.
and that's why I put in a trigger warning.
Oh no.
So yeah,
That means it's on your list.
One Finger Death Punch 2 is actually just a smaller indie title that, as you can tell, is a sequel to One Finger Death Punch. Basically, the whole premise is you play as a stick guy, fighting other stick guys, with a series of just kung fu abilities and wacky powers, but the only mechanics are either pressing X or B, respectively, or if you're on mouse and keyboard, it's right click, left click. If you're on PS4 controller...
I was looking at my keyboard, I was like, X and B, what the fuck?
No, sorry, that's your Xbox controller. If you're on PS4 controller, it's like square and circle. So, the whole thing is, you can use one finger to play the whole game, hence the name One Finger Death Punch. But it's super stylized. If you've... I don't know if you guys ever went on those, stick... watched those stick fight videos as a kid? Where it's just that one character who had just some fucking anime-ass level kung fu abilities and was just killing everybody around him. Imagine you are that character. Now take that, spread it out through about over 200 levels that only take a few minutes each, but they get progressively more challenging. Add in survival modes, a series of weapons including lightsabers, chainsaws, shotguns, swords, and all this shit. It is fast-paced, frantic fun. It is honestly one of the funnest games I have played in a long time, but just compared to the other games on the list, I couldn't justify putting it on there. I really wanted to, though.
Okay.
Anyway.
Because you got too many games this year, it's great.
I did. It's me repenting for last year.
Maple Story 2.
Fuck off.
Okay, number
Whole
right.
time, but game of the year.
Number 5 is actually going to be Total War 3 Kingdoms. Now, I personally had never played a Total War game before this, but I had watched a lot of videos, watched a lot of gameplay, and Three Kingdoms to me was just the perfect setting. I'm half Chinese, I love Chinese history, I love the romance of the Three Kingdoms, and to be able to play those characters, to be able to become Liu Bu and just be a fucking treacherous asshole was great. And the...
Did you just say weeaboo?
Liu Bu,
you're already there, don't worry.
Twat.
I'm sorry, that's what I heard. You can play as weeaboo.
Oh, my perfect game.
No, but and the fact that you can play in romance mode, which effectively turns your generals into these just 100-man slaying badasses to just really propel that myth, or just play it more like a traditional Total War game in records mode, is really nice because it gives people the option to play the way they want to, whether or not they want to be this fantastical mythical general, or just have the same Total War experience they've been having for years, but with more refined mechanics, with better graphics, and just better overall quality of life. Again, first one for me to jump into, but I absolutely loved it. Number 4 is the trigger warning, because it is indeed Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
What the fuck?
Now, I know
Hey,
you guys...
2 outlets have made it Game of the Year.
And I don't agree with it being Game of the Year. Admittedly, I do not agree with that. I was happy putting it my number 4 because I understood the game. I understood what it wanted me to do, and that was for me to play the way it wants me to. It's not a Dark Souls game where it says, level up the way you want to, use the equipment you want to, play how you want, and get over this challenge. Sekiro's like, no, you're gonna do it my way, or you're gonna fuck off.
Yeah, I know, they didn't want me to dodge roll.
Yeah, and Chris fucked off.
Yeah, and that's
Fucked off.
that's
right away.
completely
Got my money
understandable.
back.
If it's not your kind of game, it's not your kind of game. And it is by no means a Dark Souls game. I would never call it a Souls game.
No,
it has similar mechanics to some degree, but it is not a Souls game. And I'm okay with that. I wasn't necessarily looking for another Souls game. I love Souls games, not necessarily as much as you guys do, but I was happy with Sekiro as an independent game. It took me a while to finally get into it, and it has kicked my teeth in time and time again. But goddamn, if I have not turned into a fucking flaming hot cheese-throwing pizza maker to fucking get past these bosses.
Hell yeah. Did you beat it?
I have not beat it yet. No, I am right near the end game, just about at Fountainhead Palace, so I'm real close. But yes, I have not beat it. I do, obviously the end game can change people's opinions on some things, on, how a game feels overall. And I know there are multiple endings to the game, so I'll probably end up doing 2 playthroughs spaced out, just to get, like, the 2 main ones, because it does change what bosses you fight.
Yeah.
But I like the mechanics. I can understand why people wouldn't, and I would really be really hesitant to recommend this to someone else, because it is going to be such a divisive game.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is, in some ways, easier than Dark Souls, and in some ways harder than Dark Souls, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how you play. I found it way too hard.
And, like, if you're used to Souls games, if you're used to dodge rolling, you're not going to enjoy it, and that's understandable. But, like, even VodiVidia, who has been a pioneer and champion of Dark Souls content, loves Sekiro and the combat in Sekiro, which I think just speaks to how divisive it can be.
Yeah, like, there's a Dark Souls 3 speedrunner I watch, Nems, and he fucking hated Sekiro.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really divisive for Souls fans.
So that's why I put in that trigger warning for you guys, because I knew you wouldn't agree with me. But I think that's what Sekiro is. It is for some people, not for others, and that's just something we have to accept.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad it won Game of the Year.
I'm happy I wanted to be on the list. I don't know if it deserved, like, Game of the Year entirely, but I'm happy it was recognized.
I just want FromSoft to keep making games.
I mean that too. Elden Ring for life.
That's true.
I will be a lot more skeptical about Elden Ring, though.
Yeah, just because of the fact they were willing to go in a different direction.
Yeah, just because, like, Sekiro, I thought, it's the Dark Souls people. It can't go wrong, and then I hated it, so I'll hold off a little bit on Elden
I think
Ring.
it's just because it wasn't a Dark Souls game from the developers that are known for Dark Souls, because they made it, and it's so popular and so beloved by so many people.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to number 3, is also technically a game that was not made in 2019, but released in 2019, and that's the Resident Evil 2 remake. Now this game,
okay, yeah, that's fine.
I never played the original Resident Evil 2, I gotta get that out there, but I loved the remake. I understand the huge quality of life difference between its original release and this one. I love the mechanics, I loved the fact there's technically 4 campaigns is great value for money and value for time. I love that it encourages exploration and everything it rewards you with. And what I played it with Britlin because it was on her PS4. I have recently bought it for my PC, so I'm going to start doing that. But one of the moments I cannot get out of my head is in Leon's second campaign, called his B campaign, because it's A and B. He holds his gun sideways like some fucking wannabe gangster shit. And Leon is like just this fucking candy-ass white boy, right? Yeah. So Brit's making this joke. He's like, oh, motherfucker, I'm gonna fuck you up. It's like, joking like she's talking, like Leon's from the hood. While I'm aiming at a zombie on the outside of a door from the room that we're in. Now, what I saw is this zombie was black, because they still retain a pretty human appearance. Now, Britlin didn't notice that. So I'm like, I'm sideways pointing this gun at this guy. She's making all these jokes. And then I open the door, and her only response is, oh my god, he's black!
What the fuck?
I was like, how the fuck did you not notice that he was... when you were making all these jokes? Oh, fuck, it was funny.
Was it scary? Because I'm a big wuss.
There were some moments that developed a little bit of tension. There's 1 or 2 jump scares in there, but I think The fear is that Mr. X is gonna come and he's gonna fucking dry fuck you so hard you are bleeding waterfalls. Because
He
Mr.
doesn't
X,
look that spooky.
it's the constant threat of Mr. X following you, and knowing that he can appear. He can't appear in the rooms where you can save, in the safe rooms, which are scattered throughout the map. But at the end of the day, compared to the overall map size, they are limited. And especially if you play on the harder difficulties, and if you fuck with this man's hat and you shoot his hat off, it is permanently missing for the rest of the game, and he's more aggressive. He physically runs faster without his hat because he's now pissed at you.
That's hilarious.
And you are not able to kill him until like way late in the game as a boss fight. So he is a constant looming threat about halfway through the game. And it's nice because the first half of the game, you're just getting to know the map, you're learning to explore new areas, you're finding keys to unlock new rooms. The second half of the game, he's following you throughout the whole thing. So you can't just leisurely explore anymore, because he could be around the corner. You could hear his footsteps through the hallways. He's coming down to stomp your face.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty terrifying.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it adds a nice bit of just freshness to the latter half of the game, when, you're probably used to the map by that point. You kind of know where you need to go to some degree. He gives you a sense of purpose to keep going and to not really lollygag, and it also adds a little more excitement when you're trying to explore a new room, find maybe a hidden weapon upgrade, but then you hear him like 2 hallways down coming after you. And then you turn a corner, he just busts through doors, like, nope, not today, motherfucker. Anyway, my number 2, and I'm sure it'll be on John's list as well because we haven't heard John's list, is going to be Code Vein. Now, it is a very simplified Dark Souls in the sense of its controls and the difficulty of a boss, especially when you have an AI companion. But I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to take all the different blood codes and kind of mix and match the skills. Just being able to really make your own builds or follow a build guide and just become absolutely fucking overpowered. At the time of this recording, I have... Give me a second here. I have 53 hours put in. I've done 2 full campaign playthroughs, just about to finish off a 3rd with John, at which point I will have unlocked every achievement except for the multiplayer achievement and the achievement to get all achievements. Now, I am not one to 100% any game because I cannot be fucking bothered. Code Vein is the closest I probably will ever come to doing that, and I put in about 43 hours in 2 weeks. I don't normally do that.
Did.
Granted, I was sick, so I was missing work because I was sick, which gave me more time on my hands. But Code Vein really sucked me in. I mean, yes, it's anime Dark Souls, but it's still fun to play. I'm really excited for the DLC content, and I'm curious to see what these developers do in the future. Because I don't want a Code Vein 2. I know, John, you hated the story, you didn't give a shit. I followed the story, I watched the cutscenes, I took them in, I'm like, you know what? That's not an overly complicated story. I somewhat care about the characters because I was able to go through their memories, I was able to understand them, and they were able to develop a little more into something resembling a human being. Nowhere close to a human being, but the thought was there. Because at the end of the day, it's a video game, it's a shorter game, you don't have a whole lot to dig into these characters, but going through their memories, or a select handful of memories and some of their experiences, helps give them a bit more depth, which I did appreciate more than in other Dark Souls games where you follow convoluted quest lines, kill certain enemies, summon certain people for boss fights, and that's about all you need to do.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Although you do get a wife
Perfect amount of story.
You do get a wife in Dark Souls, which is a little top tier.
Or a husband.
Or a husband. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But you cannot get any form of spouse in Code Vein because Louie's a friend zoning bitch.
Despite... Hey, they're patching things all the time. They might add it.
Okay, they better make Yakumo romanceable because Yakumo is best boy.
Yeah, add some dating sim stuff to this game, please.
And anyway, going on to my number 1 is actually, I'm not sure. You know what? I want to see if you guys can guess what my number 1's going to be.
The games I said were the only games I knew of coming out this year.
Okay. I'll give you a hint. It came out really early in the year, and I know I've talked about it at least, like, twice. Granted, this was probably in, like, January, February timeframe.
Oh, I just realized, like, the one game that I thought was going to be on yours isn't there.
What game is that?
Outer Worlds.
See, I liked Outer Worlds, but then I thought about it, and I thought about the other games I'd played, and I do like Outer Worlds, but I don't think I had as much fun with it as I did with the other games that I put on the list.
Totally agreed, yeah.
Anyway, my number one game, and honestly, if you guys remembered it came out this year, I'd be a little surprised. I was just seeing if I could fucking troll you. Was Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, right.
Now, the last Devil May Cry game we got since 4 was DMC Devil May Cry, which, although in my opinion, was a good game, should not have been a Devil May Cry game. It's like Dark Souls 2. Should not have been a Dark Souls game.
How dare you?
But Devil May Cry 5 was a true return to form, had fast-paced action combat. We got to see Dante as some creepy-looking older man. We got Nero growing up. We got some emo-ass motherfucker named V, who I fucking hated at first. V was some prissy bitch to me at first, because I hate playing as summoners, and V is a summoner. Except, the way that they did the 3 different combat styles was awesome with Nero's. So, Nero has a prosthetic arm, but one of the gameplay mechanics is you can swap out that arm for things like a Mega Buster, things that'll make your sword stronger, things like a rocket arm, stuff like that. So he's got a whole bunch of different gadgets at his disposal that you can swap to on the fly. And that's really fun, especially when you're using the rocket arm. Because I pre-ordered it, got the bonuses, I got this thing
Pre-order?
No, it wasn't. No, sorry, I went deluxe edition. I didn't go pre-order. I just got a day of release. I got this thing called the Pasta Breaker. So it's effectively taking...
Pasta?
Yeah, it's a pasta. So you're effectively taking a whisk, attaching it to a rocket, and shooting at your enemies out, like shooting it off your arm at your enemies.
What the fuck?
Because it's just a reskin for the rocket arm, but it was really fun.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
V, as a summoner, is actually done really well because you have full control of your summons at all times, and you effectively just fight with them instead of him. So it's actually really interesting the way they did that. Dante is just always fun to play as. The humor was there, the writing was great, and it's got a lot of replayability. Like, I think it's got 7 or 8 difficulties. The whole draw of the game is to try to get an S rating at the end of each level for each difficulty that you unlock as you go, and play harder difficulties. They've got a whole bunch of unlocks and rewards for completing those difficulties. They've got a whole bunch of tower and time trial modes, and normally I hate games where it's like, hey, try to get the best ranking on this level, play it over and over again. Devil May Cry 5 was one of the first games for me where I was like, you know what? I'm willing to do this because I just love the gameplay so much.
Okay. Yeah, I hate those kinds of things too.
Yeah, and like normally I'm like, nah, fuck this, man, not doing it. But Devil May Cry 5, only because, again, I enjoyed the gameplay so much and I enjoy what they've done with it so much, I was willing to go back. I've probably played it 3-4 times. I'll probably go back and play it on harder difficulties still, like later in 2020, because it's one of those games where I don't mind coming back to it time and time again, knowing what the story beats are going to be, but just enjoying the combat, enjoying the abilities you unlock, and just fucking killing some demons because I fucking can.
Man, like, I heard lots of good things about it, actually, but it just never appealed to me.
And I think that's it. Like, it's not for everybody, and if you didn't play any of the others, they've got, like, a whole story recap thing that's basically just outlines the characters' backstories in relation to each other. You don't really need that to enjoy the story of what's going on in the game. It just helps you understand who these characters are a little more. It's easy to just look at it and say, oh, these are some fucking, like, scene-ass emo kids. They're not. Nero's a little angsty, but honestly...
But Dante is not angsty at all.
Hey man, Dante fucking pulls the best Michael Jackson animation I've seen in a video game ever. His moonwalk is fantastic, and just his dancing is great. It made my fucking year. Seeing Dante just... I don't even know how to describe him, other than, like, literally becoming Michael Jackson. Like, good Michael Jackson when he was still black.
Oh, well, okay. Jesus.
Hey, okay, after he got the surgery, he went downhill hard. I mean, he also went down on kids, but that's a separate issue.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck, it's unproven.
We got both top 5s demonetized. Perfect.
Damn it.
I mean, you can just cut that last bit out. I'm sure this is going on for like 15 minutes now.
No, it's fine. It's all in.
Ah, shit. Cool.
This is on you, Taylor.
That's fine.
All right. That was a good list.
I'm really surprised that you guys weren't super triggered by Sekiro. I was expecting a lot of backlash out of that one, and there may be some backlash in the comments, and you know what? Fucking at me.
No, I mean, I think
a lot of people
whatever,
liked
I
it.
don't
It
wanna
did
go into
become it became Game of the Year a couple places.
Yeah, GameSpot.
Yeah, but
Game
who
Awards.
really gives a shit about GameSpot?
Well, who
No,
really
a lot
gives a
of
shit
people.
about any of our lists?
Yeah,
I think Sean Heatherly does. And you know what, Sean, if
yeah,
you're listening,
Sean.
thank you, and thank you to everyone who's been watching our channel this last year. Honestly, it means a lot to us. You know, we're just playing video games because we enjoy it, but seeing, you know, I go back, I watch the videos, I read the comments, and I appreciate them all. So thank you to
Alright, cut
everyone.
that out.
No, yeah, thank you, everyone. It's a nice, wholesome end.
Chris, why do we have to cut that out?
I cut that out. Too wholesome.
It's too wholesome for us. We never
You know what,
do
guys?
wholesome.
2020 is going to be a half wholesome year. I'm calling it right now.
2020 is the year of fuck you, just in general. Not to anybody in particular. Just the year of fuck you.
Okay.
All right, then.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.